What's happening, good people? Thank you again for tuning in. Another Thursday with the brothers, fellas. Martin may jump in later, but we got Walter and Nick here and myself. Thank you. I know this is a strange time that we're in. I know all three of us are South Carolinians, so we know what happened with the brother and the Army sergeant in the Columbia area. So we're gonna kind of chime in on some of that information as well as we talk about Toni Morrison's The Origins of Others in this chapter on configurations of blackness and kind of try to make sense, if we can, of something that really doesn't make sense. We've been trying to, before we came on here, we've been kind of chopping it up a little bit about what happened because it hits home. This hits home literally because it's pretty much in all of our backyards for the most part. I know Martin actually lives in that community, and we all have, been through that community one way or another. Know folks outside of Martin who live there, but so we're just going to kind of talk about that as far as what Ms. Morrison writes in The Origins of Others. I know Walter said he had something he wanted to share, so we'll just let him jump it off.
And there's Brother Martin. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of, it may be a little bit tangential to that, but the quote that kind of got my attention is very early in the chat. I guess the second page of the chapter, according to my version. The second paragraph is talking about after the Civil War, as ex-slaves migrated to the North and the Midwest, many advertisements and solicitations cautioned, come prepared or not at all. And it goes on to talk about having skills and not being a burden to the neighborhood that you're going to, or else, you don't plan to stay that long. And it made me think about the previous administration we had saying, we need to go to a merit-based so that we get people who can help us and not be a burden on the society. But that, again, that's a configuration or in my opinion, another coded language that says that basically if you're of this skin tone, don't come, because we were not a burden when we were in the field.
Right.
We have never been a burden, to tell the truth, because we bought the skills that the tobacco and the rice and a lot of the agricultural
yams
skill, the yams, all the agricultural, a lot of the agricultural skill that the enslaved Africans brought built the wealth for these communities and neighborhoods. And when you think about I guess kind of connecting it to what happened in the Summit community, there wouldn't be a Summit community without what we had laid, and then to turn around and say, now you can't walk on this public sidewalk.
Right.
In front of my house, but it's a public sidewalk. I mean, that again wouldn't be there if it wasn't for that young man's ancestors. So how are you now able to say you can't walk on the sidewalk? So,
Right. That's interesting. That's a good segue into everything, man.
You're somehow a burden.
And
my existence.
And you are the other.
Yeah.
How she because this is, and even how you set that up. It talks about the origin of the. She doesn't say the, but the origin of other.
Mm-hmm.
How does one become an other in a community that is predominantly African American or black?
Walter's been saying this the whole time. He said it's only segregation is just for us. he's been saying that the whole time. Like, you can vacillate into the other community, but the other can't come into their space.
Right.
Yeah. And as a result, there are 2 cop cars in front of his house right now where he gets his extra security that this brother who was a little mentally challenged. Nick, I don't know if you know that was Scooter's, one of his best friends' brother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it must have been somebody who went to Carolina with. And so he didn't afford him this security that, he's getting. And from what I understand, starts this GoFundMe for $400,000.
Ho. The Army guy? Pitman? Whatever.
Yeah, the guy that's about to get the dishonorable discharge, Article 15.
Oh, yeah, he's going to get that. We know that.
Conduct of becoming of a soldier won't be.
So he started a GoFundMe.
Yeah, $400,000.
He'll get it.
He said, I'm about to lose.
Yeah, he'll get it. He'll get it, and plus more.
Which means he'll be set up for life.
Well, let's be clear. Also,
financially, anyway.
Well, if they, I know Todd Rutherford had said something, had put out kind of a statement talking about what happened. But if you get some of these hardcore lawyers in Colombia that comes to this young brother's rescue, that 400,000 can be decimated very quickly. So there's a lot that goes with this. But let me ask you all this. Even how Miss Morrison uses configuration, and then what we have seen happening in Minnesota and what happened in Colombia, how does that register with you when you think about it in her usage of it, configuration of blackness? When you read it, how did that kind of resonate with you in your reading?
She has a it's just one sentence off by itself on page 59 that just immediately caught my attention. When she said the fear that Black people, and I say have, not had, but have, was not fantasy or a pathological condition. And when we think about the continued maltreatment, especially from the law enforcement perspective, that fear is not just fantasy or happenstance. That I think of that as we really are, what's the word I want to use? We are carriers of post-traumatic stress syndrome. All of us on this call can say and witness when you hear sirens or see lights when you're driving, you automatically tense up. And you're not doing anything wrong or bothering anybody.
Yeah.
And I can't speak to it, but the 3 of y'all have children. And after a certain time, or when you hear sirens or the phone ring, you tense up.
Yeah.
And so it's not a fantasy. It's a reality that has been created that we have not asked for. We have not warranted.
Nick, hold on. Read that sentence again because I couldn't find it. You said 59?
59. It's right above the last 3 sentences on page 59.
You have this book right here? You have this one?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. It's right there. It's a paragraph by itself. It's a one-line paragraph. Yeah, a one-line paragraph. Or one sentence paragraph.
I must have a different copy because mine doesn't. Mine says that last set. Oh, I see. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Mine's on 58. Right.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see it now. The fear of Black people. And you said have. Good point. That's a good point. Have. Now, I like the way James Baldwin writes because he would put a comma right there.
Yeah.
He put a comma. Was not fantasy or pathological condition. God, that's a great catch there, man. Continue on, man. I had to see it, man. I had to see it because it was.
It's. I mean, we all are outstanding citizens, and it still bothers us.
We could call that into question at times.
Well, I mean, but I'm just saying.
All on me, all are welcome at my church. As long as you're middle class, you smell good, and you look like.
But it bothers us. It bothers us when things like that. I mean, and I mean, I know, as a brother, I think about Martin a lot, knowing that he walks in the summit sometimes in dark. That's huge, because I understand that everyone does not have a humanistic mindset for a brother of color or a brother of color in a neighborhood where he is subscribed to be in this tight-knit community.
Nah, that's good. Yeah.
And so
what does let's be clear.
I gotta pull the transcript. Y'all gotta hear the dialogue. Everything that she's saying in that exchange.
It's problematic.
Like, that whole exchange is like she watched it yesterday and wrote this chapter.
Yeah.
Like, the young man says, "Do you know how long I've lived here?" And he was like, "I don't care." It was pretty much.
Wow.
It was pretty much. It doesn't matter. This young man, everybody in that community. I have some church members who I checked on yesterday and this morning. That said that guy walks that neighborhood all the time.
Right.
So how do you be the other in a neighborhood you've been in for 15 years?
Well, and
the summit is predominantly African American.
Right. And to hear, he just moved out there. He ain't been out there a year yet.
Yeah. I think it was like June the 20th or May.
He ain't been out there a year yet.
Right. Yeah. They put all this stuff up, but and then his wife instigates this otherness, instigate this configuration of blackness. The young man, brother, is calm, cool, collected, responding with sir, but yet you can't get past that skin, that demon skin. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm be honest. I'm gonna tell you. I mean, I was trying to read "Blessed are the peacekeepers," and if I was preaching this week, my title would be "When the peacekeepers get tired."
Yes, sir.
When the peacekeepers get tired, because I didn't even go purposely. People started. I'm gonna tell you. I was trying to get him. I was trying to do my self-care. I tried to go to sleep early that night. I had my phone on vibrate. My phone was buzzing off the bed because everybody knows, well, hey, Martin, what's going on? You usually at stuff like this. I couldn't go. I mean, I don't know what would happen. Like, I got to protect my peace and because I'm like, it's the same thing. It's just a different day. It's the same stuff.
So to use Sister Morrison's.
Hold on, Walter. Reverend Diana, what's happening, Diana? Edith, she writes, whiteness is the newcomer. She's talking about, what you was talking about, Pentland, whatever his name is. Pentland or Pentland or whatever his name is.
I got a better name, but I can't say it on here.
Well, yeah. Well, I almost said it too, but if you wouldn't have said it twice, because but yeah. The whiteness is a newcomer. So go ahead, Walter.
I was just going to use Ms. Morrison's words, though. The question then becomes, who is the burden? Who is creating the burden here? Think about. I mean, think not just the first sergeant, but think about all these situations that we're talking about. Was it Nazario?
Yeah, Nazario.
Nazario. And think about all again. We're having a full-blown national discussion about these problems. Well, some of us are having a full-blown national discussion about these problems. Some people are still, talking about comply and all this other stuff. But we're still dealing with. We're dealing with these things that are a burden on our society that is not of our creation, right? I mean, we talk. Ms. Morrison points out that they're saying that we're the burden. that's part of the configuration of blackness, is that we're a burden on society. We're the welfare recipients. We're the drain on the government. That's why we're having to tax and spend, because of the blackness. But you look at, and I listened to an NPR story a while ago, but they were talking about how there are bonds. You can buy a bond that supports basically the funds that go for when police brutality takes place. Cities like Chicago and New York in particular have bonds that you can invest in, that you're actually making money off of police brutality.
Wow.
Because when the bonds mature, then you get a return on your investment because of the money that's being paid out by the government on those bonds. Now, if that's not sick, I mean, if that's not sick, I don't know what is. You can make but what is the burden on? Who is creating the burden on society? If we really stop and think about this, who is creating this burden?
Well, I was watching an interview today or yesterday, about the two issues in Minnesota that we're dealing with. And it was like, okay, George Floyd should have never happened because it's a counterfeit $20 bill.
Alleged
counterfeit $20 bill.
Hasn't been proven.
We still don't know if
it comes true that it's a counterfeit $20 bill. Hey brother, did you know you paid with a counterfeit $20 bill? Do you have anything else to pay with these cigarettes? All right, here you go. Going on about your business. The young 20-year-old fella, Deontay Wright. Okay, expired registration or tag registration. It said that in the city of Brooklyn Center, the city is backed up on registration due to COVID.
Right.
Yeah, everybody's suspended.
So that should have never escalated beyond. And okay, they say, oh well, he had a warrant. It was simple possession warrant, and it was it was unpaid due to job security due to COVID. Everybody knows that because of COVID, rules and regulations have been relaxed and things have been, changed due to people's circumstances, especially for a simple possession. Mm-hmm. So these two situations should have never escalated to the point where they got to. But because of the configurations of blackness, you've gotten to this place to where, okay, I know what the rules are. I know what we're used to doing. But because this is a perfect opportunity to inflict this, get in your place, boy.
Yeah.
We escalated, and we purposefully escalated so that when the use of force, taser, you're looking down. Clearly, you should see 26-year veteran that you're not looking at your taser.
Better yet, feel the difference between metal and plastic.
So
the weight difference.
To me, that's a code switch. You're just saying taser because that's what you're trained to do. You know what's in your hand.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm gonna ask this question, and y'all answer the question, and don't try to outthink me on this one.
I already see the devil look in your eye, right? Look, you're not gonna get me. You're not gonna get me in trouble today.
And me either.
What does it mean to configure? When I say configure, what does that mean? Because and you don't have to answer the question. I'll just say it like this. In our contemporary society, I know Miss Morrison was writing about something, about a particular area, Ruby, Oklahoma, and the happenings of that time. But in our contemporary setting right now, is blackness really configured? Because when we talk about configuring something, we're trying to make it fit, make it work.
No.
Blackness is not allowed the opportunity to be successful.
That's what they're trying to make work. That's what they have to make fit. That's from the beginning too. Again, if you go back to the enslaved African, okay, they didn't just accept their condition. They would call, overall, they would call for a general slowdown. They would say, all right, today we're not going full out. We're not. When we get in the field, we're going to slow down. We just not going to do as much today. And everybody agrees.
Everybody got to work the same pace.
For the most part, I mean, you would have these days where they say, we just going to be slow today. Now, the master's got a problem with that because he's configured black folks to be not so smart, to be less than, subordinate, so that slavery makes sense. So now you got a problem. Now, if these folks are smart enough to work together because they don't want to work hard today, then that means they can't be enslaved. But but on the other hand, I need them to work faster to get this crop in. So you got a problem. You got to try to make it make sense. So what they do, this one or two is the problem. The rest of y'all would be doing all right, would be doing what I asked y'all to do if it wasn't for these one or two leaders or whatever. Same thing they did in the 60s. 50s and 60s, people like Dr. King, who they now claim they love so much, was Dr. Coon. He wasn't Dr. King, he was Dr. Coon. And he was coming down here creating all these problems. Our Negroes are fine, and the way they had configured in their mind, our Negroes are fine. Now you come down here stirring them up. They have constantly configured stuff. And now, you get certain folks who get a certain status and they help in the configuration because they say, I did it. And y'all just complaining about systems and stuff that really ain't there. It's just you being configuring blackness so that it fits the narrative that it ain't nothing wrong because I made it to where I am. I did this, and it must be you.
Yeah, and see, if I were to use it, I wish she had a chapter called pre-configuration as well, because some of it is the subconscious building of the other. So, for example, my wife, I have a pre-configuration of what, I like in a woman, right? So I know subconsciously, I already know. So even when I see her, right? When I see her, when first saw, I was like, okay, I'm attracted to it because it's pre-configured in my mind what, I like or what's acceptable to me per se. And so you use that same kind of way in terms of unconscious bias. You already have a concept in your mind that what is good, what is bad, what you like, what you don't like. So the configuration comes through the subconscious, right? That you already know. So when you confront it, you do it and don't even know it. It's just the same thing with the baby doll that you saw where the black kids were saying, which one is the good, the white or the black? Right. And even the configuration is a part of our own psyche because it's put out there and configured whenever you when you see history, when all you see are people that were enslaved. And you may talk about Christopher addicts a little bit, but now they're like, we don't want to talk about slavery because that's not how it was. Because then the configuration changes in terms of black people when you start talking about what really happened. When you talk about, Nat Turner, when you talk about Denmark Victor, whoa, these people weren't just, these ignorant, dumb people. When you talk about Phyllis Wheatley, who all the contemporaries said this was garbage, but she's like, no, this ain't garbage. This is just above your head. That's the problem. You don't understand how smart this woman was. And so you begin to change the configuration, and then you end up on the bottom. That's what you're scared about because the configuration changes and the story is rewritten, and it's all a lie. That's fear.
All a lie. That's what I'm saying. I just hear, I was listening to a story the other day about Dr. Daniel Hill Williams and the work that he did medically. And it's like, you understand all the stuff that was against this person at that time. I think it was the late 1800s. You understand all the racism and the stereotypes and not having access to the same equipment. And you just think about the things that he was able to do with all those impediments. So then the configuration of blackness just doesn't fit. And that's why we sit here and we're like, this doesn't make any sense. Because it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
When you said that just now, Walter, you made me think about and I don't know how true the depiction in the movie is, Medal of Honor with Cuba Gooding Jr., who does a biopic of Navy diver Carl Bashir, who was said to be the first African-American Navy diver to make it through dive school, and all the negatives that he had to overcome. And it never made sense that even though he was so ostracized, he was so put to the back, he always ended up front.
Yeah.
And it was, even there's a scene in the movie where he's taking his dive test, and the leader of the base tells him, drown him. Don't bring him up until he stopped breathing. So they cuts his tool bag, and I mean, it's nuts and bolts just all over the water. And he finds everything and puts it together and passes the test, even though it was eons beyond everybody else. But all you had to do was pass the test. Right. And so we are continued to be tried to be pushed back. And even still, as the poem says, still we rise. It doesn't matter how far you put us back, how less of materials or how less of things. Just think about how many of these black schools where very educated people came out with old, overused textbooks, but we still become the people that we are supposed to be because we're resourceful. We are.
See that?
But
go ahead.
But you remember, or let me say it like this. I'm sure all of you all have heard this. What your mama, daddy, grandma, aunt, uncle, somebody said, you have to be 2 times, 3 times better than your white counterparts.
Yeah.
And that was, and as unfair as it is, that is the plain truth. And that's, the story you use about Bashir is what Bashir was told by his father. Because you remember when he leaves, his father tells him, boy, you go in there and you do it and you never give up and you don't let them beat you down. And I'm paraphrasing, but his whole point was you go in there, you give it your all. And that's what we're seeing right now. Because let me tell you something. And we talked about this last week. Policeman stops this young boy, Dante Wright. Dante Wright ain't feeling it. Now, he may have had warrants or whatever, but in his mind, at least I'm thinking how a young boy like that, knowing he has warrants, knowing what has happened in the county next, I don't know, Minneapolis
10 miles
is
down the road.
Yeah, right next door, down the street, knowing what has happened, he ain't trying to feel that. I'd rather you catch me down the block and pop me than rolling up on me.
That's what happened with the brother in Atlanta, right? Knowing the cops, knowing that all this is happening, and all of a sudden this trauma comes in, and but I think the same thing. I know what I think I would do, but when my disposition, like I refuse to wear. I used to wear my lights on, just have my vest on. I'm not wearing that no more because I'm wearing it not because of my, I'm worried about somebody hitting me. I'm worried about somebody hitting me because I'm black. I refuse to acquiesce that when I see my other white neighbors who don't wear this. I'm not doing it. If that be my lot in life, it is well with my soul. I refuse, and I hate the fact my wife can't sleep when I'm out there. I come home, bro. When I come in that door, man, it's like she has this relief on her. We shouldn't have to live like that, man. Yeah. She has a relief on her face because I'm trying to get exercise. Man, that's ridiculous. I ain't wearing it, bro. I'm not wearing I ain't wearing it. Whatever you gotta do it. Do it.
But
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing any extra just because I'm African. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I told Kim, I said, look, if something happened to me as well, my soul, I feel less than a man that have to put on a vest because I'm black, not because somebody would hit me. And yeah, somebody, one morning, sure enough, somebody almost hit me. I don't know if they saw me or not, but but anyway, I'm not doing it, period. We shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But, go ahead, Walter. Go ahead, Walter.
I was gonna say, but the cause that where I was kind of headed was the cost is to the larger society. Like, how much greater could a George Washington Carver? I mean, any of these people you want to name, how much greater could they have been if they were treated with just the same respect, with just this, even as the mediocre people of their time, if they were treated with that same respect, how much greater a contribution to society could have been made? And you talk about that, but today is Jackie Robinson Day, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
But I understand that Jackie Robinson wasn't even the greatest Negro League player.
He was like the fifth or sixth great player. He was
as great as he was. As
right.
great as he was. Now, think about what we're saying now. Jackie Robinson was a great ball player, but he was not the greatest of his time. But because of his temperament, they felt like he could handle it. The configuration of blackness that was around him, he's the one that got chosen. Yeah. Now, think about that. That's incredible.
Is it you mean incredible? For,
like
in
a terrible way.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure. Like, yeah,
but hey, the cost of that was Josh Gibson died at a very early age.
Yeah,
he knew he was the best.
Right.
Oh, well, not just Josh Gibson. Also, Satchel Paige was actually the money maker.
Right. Yeah.
But Satchel Paige had such a level of arrogance, and was like, "Look, I know y'all can't touch me."
Right.
Satchel Paige would do stuff like bring a chair out and throw from a chair. He was just that great, and he ended up pitching. Later on in his career, and they still couldn't touch him.
Still couldn't touch him.
Still, he was still greater than anybody. You know what I'm saying? So, go ahead.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, when we can talk about being 2 or 3 times, having to work 2 or 3 times harder, but to me, that still misses the point. What is happening is not, it's terrible for us, but it's also terrible for the rest of society.
Yeah,
right.
They are missing out on greatness by trying to hold on to this configuration of blackness.
Yeah,
they're
missing out on some blessings for themselves. Yeah, because of this lie of blackness.
Imagine if it was fair. Where would the country be? Like the Dr. Vivian Wright. Here's a guy that had only way he could even work with medicine was under this other doctor.
Right.
And when it was time to show what you could do, he ran to get it. Right. But at the same time, Dr. Blaylock got all the credit still. Man, how would you? Man, there's no way I wouldn't want to do medicine no more. But he didn't stop. He kept doing it.
I'm telling you. Think about that's where you go back to them dudes I was talking about what WB Du Bois was talking about with that corn. Yeah. Right. Why the heck I'm picking up these pieces of corn and I ain't gonna get no credit no how? Whatever I get, whatever's left on the thing when I get there, that's what we get.
Hey y'all, when they didn't put him in that picture, bro, man, look here. They didn't even put him in the picture of the medical journal, man. Like you could have put him in there.
You could have put him in the bag.
You could have gave him a broom and put him in there.
This is what and no, she writes this in this is as a parenthetical thought now. She says, what would we do? What would we be or do or become as a society if there were no ranking or theory of blackness?
Mm-hmm.
I know we talked about this a couple weeks ago because I think Martin asked the question, what would we do if there was no racism?
I would have probably had 10 books written by now.
Be like, but I don't think, what's going on? I mean, let's just be honest. I don't think as black men, black sons, black fathers, we can actually operate like that. I don't know if it's safe. Yeah. I mean, it would. The hope would be that one day we'll get there, and I know some of y'all may have the hope and the faith that's where we will be, and God is going to come down in angelic hope in the eschaton. We do win, but right now, from a theological standpoint, I ain't convinced that on this here earth, and these American
ununited,
states,
as Nick said,
the ununited states,
yeah,
we ain't gonna make it like that. And I'm just that's just me. That's just me. Now, I hope to God I'm wrong, but over the last 3 days, I'm not convinced.
Oh. No. Well, if you look at the last 3 days, no.
But remember this now.
It just keeps getting worse. You know,
but think about this. Think about this. You remember she does this thing at the end that blew me away. That says she is probably one of the greatest writers outside of James Baldwin. That's my biasness here.
Of course.
But she does this thing with these 2 sermons. Those 2 sermons that she had from one from Reverend Flip Flap, whatever his name is. Mm-hmm. Y'all know what I'm talking about. When he was talking about women ain't worth the fart. And what's it? Reverend Pulliam. Yeah. Reverend Pulliam. And he says this. He says, love is divine. Now, this is a dope line. Love is divine only and difficult always. Now, I thought that was a real dope line. But then he says this. Now, I know this is difficult for some of y'all real hardcore theologians who believe works righteousness or who is definitely against works righteousness, which is to say you have to earn God. You have to practice God. You have to think God carefully. She says this is the progressive way of thinking from Reverend Pulliam. And then she goes to the other guy and the other reverend and Minson. How she's Minson. And Minson. She said, and she's like how he looks at God. And she and I didn't necessarily agree with that particular way either, but she says, now Minson takes him, puts Jesus on the cross, puts this black Jesus on the cross, and then the trouble becomes a one-on-one issue. That was a big statement because now she's taking it out of the peripheral and out of the abstract and saying, this is what's happening when you configure blackness. Because when you talk to people right now about what happened with Dante Wright, Ahmaud Arbery, with what's the brother's name? We don't even know his name.
He don't want his name. He don't want his name.
The stomach. They didn't have his name.
Well, you know that brother. That happened with that brother, and all that stuff. Everybody, their whole answer. Well, if, especially when it comes to police, if he or she would have complied, right, they would have been all right. That's abstract. That's the abstract. You're not dealing with the one-on-one. So why do I have to be peaceful and be under control when I'm not trained to be under control? This person gets paid to be under control, be able to be professional. Even if I slap the piss out of them, they supposed to say, we're not going to kill you today because it doesn't matter. Whatever I do, I don't kill you.
They know how to do it. The cop busts the windshield out. The cop jumps back in the car. The guy's hitting the windshield. He's hitting the windshield.
It was a video. It was an older video. Actually, a friend of mine just sent it to me today. It was 2 state troopers and a white guy. They asked the guy to get out of the car. One is standing by the rearview mirror or the side view mirror. The other one standing by the back passenger door. And they see the guy has a gun pinned between the seat right beside him. They grab the door handle, pull out their gun. This is the part that took me out. Please don't make us do this.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hands up. Please don't
by the arm.
Yeah.
Please don't make us do this. I don't got a gun, and if I put my hands down, I'm toast. Like, so
the whataboutism in
it's
America,
the tale of two Americas.
Yeah, the whataboutism is the configuration. It's the what about. What about?
Yeah, that's the configuration.
That's configuration. Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I have no more. I have, as a peacemaker that I've tried to be. God knows I have. I mean, it's, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to have no courageous conversation. I don't care what you name it. I'm done, bro. I'm not saying anything because, again, out of all those people that protest, not one person that I saw looked like the person that we were protesting. That's. I mean, I don't get it. My grandfather told me. My great grandfather said, "Son, be on the side of right, and you never have to choose sides." That's how I try to live my life.
That's real.
If I'm on the side of right, he said, "Now, if you on that side, then I'm on your side." Mm-hmm. But right, man, I don't get it. I just can't get it. I mean, I've tried. Lord knows I've tried. I tried to be the person we want to talk. Let's talk. I've tried the person say, let's wait. It takes baby steps. It's only baby steps to the one who ain't getting choked. When you getting choked, you don't want no baby step, man. Get up off me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's just, man. And just to hear how my son is reacting, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Because he knows that dude is around his age.
Yeah. Right. Oh, exactly. Yep. Yeah. In the same neighborhood, right across the
road. Right. I mean, he been texting me constantly. Dad, you see what happened? You see? Yeah. It's crazy.
Once again, we're talking about Toni Morrison's The Origin of Others. We're on the chapter Configurations of Blackness. I know we've had a couple people chime in. I know Reverend Tim Buck, my cousin Ricky Tomlin, Diana Edis, and I forgot to put this one up here. Let me do something right quick. Let me cut Walter out of here.
Hey man, if you cut me out, they're not cutting me out.
But man, listen. But this is my question. In the configuration of blackness, allegedly, I do something. They don't come and say we're going to investigate going back in the house. Have a good night. We'll be in contact.
That I can't say that's always true.
I'm going downtown.
What? Say that last part again. You going to where?
I'm going downtown.
Oh yeah.
I'm in the back of the car. They don't wait on evidence. They don't wait on videos.
But see, that's the thing, Nick. Here's the thing. So we talk about tickets, right? Okay, the guy, they gave him a ticket the first time. A ticket. They gave him the what? Benefit of the doubt. Even though there was empirical evidence, there was a camera footage. So you didn't
say assault.
They're telling the police officer.
Give me a ticket for assault.
Right. They're telling police officer, but I'm gonna give you a ticket. So, but the brother don't get the benefit of the doubt for walking in on the sidewalk. We never get the benefit of the doubt. Never. We never get the benefit.
That's my thing.
Well, maybe
what you give me a ticket? What was the ticket for?
Yeah. We're the only, you know what? We got a gene, right, in us, apparently, that we can't be crazy. Or we can't have mental illness. So, Dylan Roof, he was mentally ill. So we got some in our DNA that if you go out and the gang member shoots another gang, they never say, well, could they not have mental illness? Have you ever heard of gang member with mental illness? That's configuration of blackness.
That's just
you don't know what the history is of that person.
I got upset.
But only mental illness is for people without melanin.
It was a bad thing that happened with the NFL brother that killed his doctor and family.
Yeah.
Horrible thing. Not downplaying it, but to come out with a video with no evidence to say, well, the doctor stopped giving him meds, so he was mad. So now you're saying I'm only mad because I'm on meds. Would that have been the narrative if the configuration would have been the other way?
Because they would have said it's probably CTE.
Well, also understand Miss Morrison uses a word that a lot of writers are rarely use when it comes to talking about blackness and whiteness and race. And she uses this word about 3 times, I believe, in this void. Whiteness does not have to have color. It does never have to present itself, and it is always kind of voided out. So if it does something wrong, we can void that out in America. Blackness is never the default.
No.
It will never get the benefit of the doubt.
All right.
No.
The sad reality of the fact is, if that video would have never surfaced, it would have been swept up under the rug.
Oh, yeah. What would have been swept up under the rug?
In the summit.
If
that video would have never surfaced,
that wasn't going to be swept up under the rug.
But we can't. But we can't. Go ahead, Walter.
I mean, and not to try to correct you, but what I'm saying is that the whiteness can never be wrong because it is the default. It is the void. I mean, and that's why you're right. It doesn't want to be seen, and that's what it's taken. These latest, and I know Martin just said it, he hates all this, but it's taken these latest discussions, these latest conversations that we've been having for people to finally get to the point where they will accept that you say white and whiteness. Before, or and maybe even still now, that is true. Whenever you bring up whiteness, it creates uncomfortability. They don't mind calling me black. Us black, but to be called white is to bring it out into the open, is to expose these configurations because it is the default. It is what is expected. And so, and that's part of what I think Martin was getting at with the pre-configuration is this whiteness that sets the whole stage so that, and Ms. Morrison brought it up, I don't think she brought it up again in this chapter, but she's brought it up in the 2 previous chapters about these actual medical conditions that were scientifically proven,
she did
and were accepted
Drapetomania.
For black people. Like we have a condition that makes us run away. Yeah,
and Walter, actually, Drapetomania, if I'm not mistaken, was in the DSM-4.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, these are like actual medical conditions that now sounds crazy to us, but at the time, because of whiteness, because of the configuration of blackness, it was medical science. It was accepted.
Yeah,
So,
and Walter, now I've seen Walter. Walter's probably one of the smartest guys in seminary. And I noticed I didn't use a color. Hey, look at Martin. The smartest. And I would see Walter's, and Walter know, if I'm upset, I call Walter, say, Walter, talk me off the cliff, right? If I want to go over the cliff, I'm going to call Brian. If I need some young people with some heat, I'm going to call Nick, because I know he got that. What I'm saying, I saw you tear somebody apart one day on race. And
I can tell you who it was.
Yeah, I know. But look, it had to be a certain tone that Walter had to use. He couldn't raise his voice because that would have been the blackness configuration. The words that he used were above the person's head. They didn't really understand how Walter had broken them down to the lowest common denominator. But not everybody is as smart as Walter. So in order for him to even have a conversation, it has to be at a certain tone. You have to be of a certain intelligence, even to be heard. And the guy still didn't change his mind, even though he looked very silly with his argument, because the default was still his whiteness. I mean, I was like, bro, you just, you like 1 inch by 1 inch right now. And I'm like, but that's it. That's how we have to even present an argument, even in a conversation. It can't, of all the stuff we've been through, we still can't be mad, right? you know, or and Walter, if you were Brian's size, that probably wouldn't have worked even with that, right? And so it's always, I mean, it's like you got to package it a certain way just to even be heard, and it still don't change. It's like, we heard you, and that's it. Like, it's like, it doesn't even matter about facts. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because I remember in Dr. Bell's class, I said, you know, it's funny that, you know, Ivan Mendel, who was the Russian scientist that discovered, you know, genetics and said, you know, Big B, black was a dominant gene recessive. This is a Russian scientist, but they still refute their own science. Like, so if you refute, because I heard a guy say, there's no way everybody came from a black lady in Africa, man. There's no way there's no way. Like, yeah, there's no way that it could have been a white person could not have created, black people couldn't have come from a recessive gene. That's your science. That's when you know you can't win. I mean, I heard this argument. I was like, it's your
black
science.
Man, black man, black woman, black baby.
I mean, I'm saying that like, you produce
black man, white woman, black baby. Black woman, white man, black baby.
Black baby.
I knew.
Just don't happen. It can't happen.
I should have known back then. I should have stopped arguing or even discuss. I was like, why have a conversation now? That's what I'm saying. I ain't talking no more. I ain't talking no more. It's like, look, it's like you got the deck of cards. Not only you got the deck of cards, you memorize the cards. You decide how many cards you get. You decide the game that you're gonna play. You decide how many we can draw. It's like, why even play?
And then if you still lose, they just flip the table.
Right.
How did you get through? How did all this we did? How did you still win?
I didn't get through.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. And see, for those of us who, as we would say, are articulate enough to say how we feel. What about the person?
Right.
You know, we can't even afford to be an average human being. A person that may be hardworking, good, honest, Christian, but just don't have the words or the vocabulary that we have. What do you do? What do you do? You know, we're talking about the eschaton and all that. They're like, what?
Black baby.
Yeah. Like,
Salute, Reverend Edis.
Yeah.
Black baby. Good one.
Yeah. Hey, did you see the Saturday night skit where a man from England that he said, look, I am the one the royal family was afraid the baby would look like me. I couldn't stop laughing when he said that. But I mean, we gotta laugh. I mean, what else can we do?
You got to.
I'm gonna tell you, but in a real sense, though, I'm gonna be honest with you all. You know, Tuesday I talked with Reverend Glover, and we were talking about concealed weapons permits. One of y'all got y'all things up. Turn your volume down. You're getting a reverb. If you got two playing, I don't have two playing. Somebody got two playing.
It went away.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, it was me then. But we were talking about that, and you know, he was sharing some. You know, he was ATF. He was ATF. He retired ATF guy, and he was saying that, you know, he's not saying right or wrong, up or down. It was more or less, if you can, get a weapon to protect yourself. And you all know my story. I've said this with you about how I feel about this. My wife said she was scared.
Mm-hmm.
She was scared, and she was fearful. And my wife didn't go back outside for about 6 months unless I went with her. That was just point blank. She didn't want to be around that. My wife is a veteran, so certain things that happens, and so all this stuff that's taking place has put me in a real vicarious situation, because I feel some kind of way. You know what I mean? I don't feel unsafe, but I don't feel safe. I ain't scared, but I also feel like at any moment, something can pop off out of this configuration. And I don't want to put nobody down, but I ain't afraid to, if that makes sense. You know, we all know if somebody come up in your house messing with your kids and your family, you do what you have to do to get them off. But when you're in the street, I saw it one day. You know, I live in North Carolina, you know, where you can open carry. And Vanessa's nose started to bleed. I mean, it gushed out. And I jumped, and she had a cup in her hand. She threw it, and I tried to grab the cup and forgot I was on the street and hit the guy in front of me. And I conceal carry most of the time, but this particular time I had my shirt untucked, and I jumped out the car when it was two white men. They jumped out the car, and I jumped out the car, and I wasn't concealed, and it was out. And I was thankful that the man didn't panic. He just looked at me, and he said, "Are you all right?" Now that blew me away, because I knew, you know, his initial response should be like, "Oh snap, this Negro got a weapon on his side." But he came and he stood. I said, "No, I'm sorry, my wife had a nosebleed." He says, "I'll be right back." Now when he said that, I pulled back and like, yo, this dude's going to get something. But he came back with an emergency kit. He said, "Look, maybe this can help with a nosebleed. We're good, man. You need us to take you to the hospital?" You know, and it was just that type of thing that was happening, because this moment has me so amped up that I don't trust white men particularly. And they have to gain my trust like this white gentleman did, because I was on 12 right then. You know what I mean? My wife's nose is bleeding, and I mean, it bled for about 15, 20 minutes. And so in these particular moments, in this configuration of Blackness, what we've seen with Dante Wright and the Army veteran and so forth and so on, yo, how do you feel about this? And for real, you know what I mean? Because I know what's going on with me, you know.
But you know what? Okay, so psychologically, let's talk about Abraham Maslow. Let's talk about some of the psychosis in this. Okay, so the first rung of need, we all know, is for water, air, you know, food, rest. The second thing, though, before love and belonging, is what? Security.
Yeah.
So before I need love, right? According to Abraham Maslow, I need safety and security. So if you know this, right, in America, if you know this is not, this brother ain't from Africa. Abraham Maslow. So this is, this is not Omar Johnson. This is Abraham Maslow saying this, and you still don't want to change. Like, security means, so if you say, I use it again. So I say, "Hey brother, I love you, Brian. Make me safe first. Let's make me safe first, right? Deconfigure the configuration that makes you, afraid of me." Okay, yeah. Hey. And so then we can have a conversation about love. Think about that though, Abraham. Love is third on the rung.
And they know that. In the political ad. No, listen.
I had to leave on that.
The political ad isn't trying. They're not talking about love. Power ain't talking about love.
Right.
They want you.
Hold up. Let me put that in air quotes. Power is not talking about love.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
That's another configuration. They know that. The political ads are about fear. Think Willie Horton. Think, welfare queens. Think all of that. The security that they're talking about is not mine and yours.
Right.
But the security they are very clear on whose security they're talking about.
Right.
The sergeant who can say to this young man, "This is a tight-knit community. And we want it to be secure. And you, burden on our society, are keeping us from feeling secure. Wow. So you got to go."
On the county sidewalk.
Yeah.
that he's paying taxes on.
And you know, Baldwin is very clear about safety in America. He's very clear that he says you can't disconnect religion from safety in America.
Right.
And he says, and here's the last part. I'll finish it. And he says, and in America, religion then is ran by white supremacy.
All right. Yeah. Whose safety are you talking about? Yeah. Whose security?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nick.
You know, strangely, my grandfather taught me something years ago that blew my mind. You know, we love to say it's my yard, you know, but the county and the city own more of your front yard by the street than you do. Most people don't know that. I can't remember the footage from the center of the road to your onto your property. The state, that's how they can come through and say we're gonna widen the road and just dig up your front yard because
look here,
it ain't yours.
It ain't just your yard. It's anywhere the county deems it necessary to build. You know, think about the Booker T. Washington School on the University of South Carolina campus. And they took it and called it.
You get mad all over.
and they declared it eminent domain. You know, you know, that's at any place.
So, like, you own a county sidewalk that is permissible for everybody, any and everybody, and your neighborhood that you don't own. You might have brought the house, but the neighborhood ain't yours. And I'm sure it's more black people that live on that street than white folk.
Oh, absolutely. And look, listen probably 80% black. Oh, more.
Listen to this. I would be willing to say that 65 to 70% of all professional sports stadiums are built where black communities were.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Not just black. I know in Los Angeles, the Dodgers, there were Hispanic communities. They wiped out the entire community.
Well,
so black and brown folk.
The other.
Yeah. I don't take that. I don't do that. I don't even do minority real well. So
I want to, if y'all don't mind, I want to take just a second, and Diana, I want to address something with her. I was in a bad space one day, and we were talking about race stuff, and she was sitting down with me, and I confessed to her as a clergy to clergy how I was feeling, and I didn't sugarcoat it, and she said, "You are forgiven." I don't know, Diana, if you remember that conversation, but because I didn't know what else to do. I was in a bad place. But here's the thing. Here's the sad part of that. Nothing has changed. It's gotten worse. And this was in 2013, I think. This is 2013. And I was like, we're battling the same identical demon today, 2020, almost 10 years as clergy, you know. And it's like, that's what I'm saying. I'm done. I mean, I don't even want to have conversation no more. I'm just tired. Like, there's nothing else to talk about. I mean, you know, again, when Walter just explained that they know the Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs, so that we don't. How can we win, except for the eschaton? So when people jump on, say something about, well, Wesley never really talked about, you know, a lot of the salvation of the body here. Maybe he knew something we didn't know for African Americans. Like, maybe it ain't no, you know, maybe that's where it is. I just, if somebody can help me, then I'll just wait.
Toni said we want reparations. That's Walter's wife.
Yeah.
Now she's finally revealed.
Look, yeah.
She's finally revealed.
Hey, look,
blown.
That would be on the second rung too, am I not? Right? Safety, security, which would mean property,
financial security, property.
But let's be clear: you can have all the money in the world and still get sniped out of here.
I fear it.
But you know,
this upcoming week. I fear this upcoming week.
Diana said, "Thank you, brother Marty."
Yeah, you're welcome. But
Sorry,
thank you
Nick.
for just being there.
No.
That was great. That was been a great pastor. I appreciate you for that. Really do.
Well,
Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, it's just jury going into deliberation at some point this week, and I think as the old saying, I think the camel's back is getting mighty thin. And if this one don't come back,
How about
I
this?
think it's gonna be bad. I think Rodney King was a matchstick compared to if this don't come back the way it should come back.
Well, then we shouldn't be surprised.
Even if he's
I'm not saying I'm gonna be surprised, but
how about this? Even if he's found guilty, it's still a transaction. There ain't no transformation.
Yeah, you're right.
It's still a transaction.
Right.
I ain't about transaction. That's why I'm gonna put my hope. Okay, whatever happens, it's not gonna change.
You're right.
The transformation ain't gonna happen. That's what I'm saying. We can't get excited over transactions that don't lead to transformation.
Dante Wright proves your point.
Exactly.
Dante Wright proves your point. While the trial is going on.
Exactly. While the trial, there ain't no transformation. It's just like I remember in Malcolm X, my man was like, yeah, y'all get excited. They bring one colored over the play and y'all jumping up and down. And he was, it was some truth in that. Like, ain't no that was a transaction until Josh Gibson is over here and Satchel Paige is over here, until, the transaction part, the work that it takes in order to for this change that, again, like we always say, we probably won't see it, but we stay in the fight because the hope is that maybe something that we say or somebody that we came in contact with will begin the transformation. But there's no America's not interested in transformation of racism. It's not. There's no money in it. I said it. There's no money in the racism. There it is. Boom.
Yeah.
Where's the money in the racism? It's better to have racism financially.
And that's for all of us.
Oh.
Let's be clear.
Well, now.
I don't like racism. Yeah, I don't like racism. But let's be clear.
This could be the Golf Channel instead of talking about this.
The racism. I'm going to tell you something. I have been watching. There have been more jobs for diversity, inclusion, and equity or equality than I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I've never seen this many jobs for that particular position. You can go get you a certificate from Cornell University. And you can go get you a job paying $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 as a director of DEI.
Yeah.
Because they think the thought is by us having this position, something will change.
We're inclusive.
No. It's not. It's something got to change, but so that you'll stop talking about it. That's the question that's always asked. Yeah. What is it going to take to get y'all to stop talking about it? What is it going to take to placate y'all? That's the question. Not how can we solve the problem? Not what is the resolution?
Well, you said it nicely.
How can we placate you? How can we get you to?
I said, let me say it like it's really said. How can we shut you niggas up? I know that ain't what y'all want to hear, but that's what it's really said.
Well, if you want to say it like that, but now I do want to say one thing because I feel like we tipping into despair, and I don't want us to be there. We just had Easter now. We are resurrection people, right? Don't we believe in the resurrection?
Well, Walter, we can't afford
the week after Easter now. I understand it.
But Walter, we can't afford to be in despair.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Exactly I don't think we're in despair. I think it's more. It's almost, and I know we're going a little longer, but I don't know. I think frustration has peaked out. I'm gonna tell you something. I have never seen so many black mothers with sons really trying to figure this out. I called you the other day, and what did I ask you? What does it mean that prayer works.
Yeah.
Because guess what? It just doesn't. That's what my mother used to say. Prayer works. But in this here, yet to be un-American, how you say that thing, Nick?
Ununited
States. It doesn't appear to be working because we catching so much hell on a daily basis.
Oh, sure.
And it's from the people who are licensed and who we pay to protect and serve us. And so now, what does prayer mean? Why do I pray if all I'm catching is the beat down from the other side? I can't go to the supermarket. I can't even sit in my own house. I can't work on my car outside in my own yard. I can't walk in my neighborhood where it's predominantly 85% black. I can't work there without somebody coming and pushing me and threatening me and saying I'm out of place in my neighborhood. That's like somebody coming into your house and telling you, why you in my damn refrigerator? Y'all pardon the way I say it, but that's just what it's like. Why you going in your own refrigerator? That's what it's like. The boy walking in his neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so I know we represent the church, the black church specifically, but church total. How does prayer work? And I know that's what my mama said. That's what my grandmother said. Prayer work. Prayer changes things. But if this the way prayer changes things, y'all can have that back. Now I know that's a tough statement, but this is Baldwin making the claim as well. If God is not making us bigger, freer, and safer, maybe we need to get rid of him. And let's be clear what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a white racist God that sanctions hate.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. None of that's gonna stand.
Exactly. Kimberly Janha, I think that's how you say her name.
Hey, that's my homegirl, Marlboro County representative. What's up, Doc?
It's all relative. Truth is prayer. Truth is prayer does work, and it has to contend against personal will. God gives us free will, and those who choose to be racist have to want not to be.
Yeah.
And Diana said,
to me.
And Diana said, in the sweet by and by, that's what they're selling.
Keep picking that cotton. Don't worry about it. Grandma passed out and died. Keep picking.
I'm gonna tell you that, I say, we said it earlier. We will win in the eschaton.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, we win.
But we can't catch it all the time. We can't. Look, there has to be a place of peace here. I know that's theologically correct, but there is something that we are missing, and that's why I think when you see Toni Morrison putting in, because we are talking about, this whole conversation is because of Toni Morrison's book. That's why she has this confrontation between these two, this conservative pastor and this liberation pastor, and how and both of them are black. That's my perspective. Both of them are black, and she says one has chosen to be conservative and speak in a way that he deems it safe for black folk, and the other one has chose to be more liberative and said, look, we need to resist at all costs, because guess what? Whether you're being conservative or whether you're resisting, at the end of the day, guess what happens? If white supremacy wants your spot, they're going to beat your head in. Anybody got any last things? I think we about to get
alive.
Yeah.
Keep hope alive.
Because this might go someplace that we might not be able to pull it back from.
Yeah,
I feel it.
Yeah.
Hey, we thank you all for watching. And next week is anybody know what next week's is? Hey, if you don't know, if you want to read along with us, not narrating what?
Narrating the other.
Narrating the other. If you want to, we're reading this text right here, the origin of the other by Toni Morrison, And you know, this kind of guides our discussion and what we're talking about, and we try to pull all the things that's happening in this particular week hit home for us because we're all from that. I mean, we're all from Columbia area, more or less, or we all lived in the Columbia area at one time or another, and it's like in our backyard. So, you know, it took a toll on it, and I think it came out in the conversation. So, as always, just remember to survive, and we thank you all for for tuning in with us and jumping in the conversation. Diana says, "Love you guys. Thank you, sister.
Thank you, Diana. Appreciate you.
As always, survive, cultivate joy, and continue to resist and stay dope. We'll see you. Peace."